Welcome back to Brick by Brick. We're going to be going over a hypothetical matchup, in this case, between the current governor of California, Governor Gavin Newsom, versus the current vice president, J.D. Vance. So we will start out. I've already characterized all the safe, likely, and lean states. We still got quite a few states left to characterize, though, so we will start on the West Coast and then just move eastward. So we've got the three blue states there on the West Coast, and then we get to the first swing state. In this case, I'm going to add a tilt characterization. In this case, it is going to be Nevada. I do think that Newsom is probably well-positioned to take Nevada. I think that Arizona would be could be a different story, a bit difficult, but I do think that if the election were to be held today, it would probably end up going to J.D. Vance. And then we get to a few of these Rust Belt states, so I do think that in general, Minnesota actually might be more than a tilt, but for now we'll just go with the tilt. Nonetheless, it is still in the Democratic column, and that is going to be 10 electoral college votes for Gavin Newsom, bringing us to 227 to 229. And I forgot the district in Nebraska. So I think this one is most likely going to be in the Democratic column. Gavin Newsom he's been trying to portray himself as a bit more of a moderate. He's been getting a lot of attention from the LA riots and his confrontation between Trump on that issue. So his name is gaining popularity, and maybe not necessarily good popularity, depending on how you see it, but he is gaining in popularity. More people are recognizing his name, which always helps when it comes to election night. And then next up, we will go to the three Rust Belt states. Well, actually, we'll go on down to Georgia. I do think in Georgia, Governor Gavin Newsom, like I mentioned, he is trying to be a little bit more moderate, so I think there's certainly a possibility where he is able to win the state of Georgia. I do think that North Carolina would probably be a different call there, but right there, it brings us to 244 to 245, really close election map here, really comes down to the Rust Belt states. So but we've got a few here. I do think that in New Hampshire, this is going to be a Democratic hold. The state has been in the Democratic column for a while, so I don't think there would, unless something major happens, which we still have quite a while before the election, so certainly possible that's the case. But in general, I think we're going to go with that. And then we get to I do think that in this situation, we are going to go, actually, this is going to be lean for the district there in Maine, in the Republican column, kind of the counterbalance to the Omaha district in Nebraska. But in general, so that's what we've got so far, 248 to 246. And I will characterize the biggest state first. I do think that Pennsylvania is, I think that in the long run, the Sunbelt states like Georgia and North Carolina, Arizona, and Nevada are going to trend towards the Democratic column. We have it might not end up being the case, and I do think that the three Rust Belt states are generally going to be leaning more and more towards the Republican column. They certainly possible things change, so each of these states of the Rust Belt states have elected Democratic governors, and there are, and as far as Michigan goes, 2 Democratic senators, and the other 2 states have 1 Republican and 1 Democrat. So I do think that it's going to be a bit of a different story here for Governor Gavin Newsom. So we're going to go with tilt for the 2 states of Wisconsin and Michigan. So I do think generally it's a little surprising to see the Rust Belt broken up by who they are going to be voting for, but I do think that Pennsylvania is probably the most likely of the states to carry through to end up in the Republican column. It did go to Trump in 2024 and 2016. The Rust Belt went to Biden in 2020. So I do think that Democrats, if they put forward a more moderate candidate, like some people think Governor Newsom is, it's up to you to decide whether or not he is. But in general, I do think that he would be a little bit more likely to do better in the Rust Belt, but do even better in the Sun Belt. Still losing the states of North Carolina and Arizona in the Sun Belt, but did well enough in the Rust Belt to make up for it, resulting in 273 electoral college votes for the Democrat, Governor Gavin Newsom, to 265 for the current vice president, and in this case, potential presidential nominee, J.D. Vance. Feel free to let me know if you have any questions, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks. Bye.